It's Tuesday, September 21st, 2020. We are talking in stations for EVE Online. I am Matterall here with Manixar.
Hello.
And Grigorin. Are you there, Grigorin? Okay. Today we are going to cover Patchnotes. Edencom gets some love. Black Ops improve their tank. And some more. EVE Pulse video returns from CCP after 3 months of hiatus. And Project Discovery gets an update. It is day 78 in the war, and we're going to cover all that and more today on this episode of Talking in Stations Today. Let's first move over to Patchnotes. Mannix, what can you tell us?
Oh yeah, patch 18.09 launched today. I had some changes to Edencom, Black Ops, and some faxes. On Edencom side of things, the DED LP offers for all Edencom items had their LP cost reduced by 90%, which is a huge reduction in cost. Probably to encourage more people to start building these and possibly get into larger fleets with some of these ships. The damage reduction factor down for all Edencom weapon sizes. The mitigation from target speed plays a smaller role is pretty much what this does. You can look at the exact numbers on the patch notes. And also damage increase to a small and medium condenser packs for Vorton projectors. You can also, this likes like 20% to 30% damage increase. So that's pretty big deal as well. Black Ops also got a little bit of love this time. They had their fuel bay increased by 900 MN, which is almost double. And they also had their base resist increase to their armor and shield resist. So that should give them a little bit more tankier. Maybe see them more in 10 out of 10s. We'll see. Also, the Force Auxiliaries, the fax sheet, they got some love too. The Lift and the Azu. Not only do they get a bonus to their shield and armor reppers accordingly, but they also get a cap boost bonus now. So this should help with the small gang and also like maybe wormhole be a little more attractive in those type of engagements. Abyssal Dead Space NPCs improved balance response to player feedback. Sounds like the AI maybe got a little better. So we'll have to see what that is when we jump into the Dead Space. Yeah. And added new skins, Strike Flight Red skin for all Edencom ships. These skins will be available through daily login gifts this coming weekend. So make sure to check your daily login gifts. Maybe something to actually keep in those this coming weekend. So something to look out for. And that should cover the patch notes.
All right, great.
Yeah, I think that the Black Ops changes are great because with how they are right now, they're too expensive for what they provide to be practical for much beyond just bridging a fleet of cruisers or bombers.
Or dropping an ISR.
So people who use combat blops are typically people who just have more ISK than they know what to do with and just like dropping this impractically expensive thing on stuff. Which there's that's a valid reason, but it's recently it just isn't good enough compared to a similarly priced fleet of cruisers.
No, I agree. Though Black Ops weren't in the best position right now, the best spot. So they definitely need a buff. Maybe this will help them out a little bit. And I'm definitely looking forward to using them a little more in 10 out of 10. So come find me, guys.
What's that?
Yeah.
What's a 10 out of 10?
It's a
that would be
DED escalation site. Routing anomalies, when you get an escalation, one of the common shifts that ships that people run those escalations in is a Black Ops battleship, because you usually need something really expensive to run it in, and you don't have to worry about taking a gate with your blops like you would with a rattlesnake.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So it makes it a lot safer transporting, because once you get the escalation after running the anomaly, the
Mhm.
riding anomaly, you have to then fly usually anywhere from 5 to 10 systems away. And with the Black Ops, allows you to just jump to that system instead of having to gate. A lot of people use Tech 3 cruisers for this as well, just because they can be cloaky nullified, which means they're immune to bubbles. So they can work through the bubbles that people try to catch ships with, and also they're cloaky, so they can cloak and warp at the same time. So they're really hard to catch and slippery. But the ability to bridge or jump yourself to the system is the safest route to go, and that's why they're very attractive to run 10 out of 10s in.
Right.
Yeah, the fax changes. It definitely brings the Leaf and Ninazu up to closer to parity with Minokawa and Apostle, but I don't think it improves them enough to make them viable again. Like, but like has been mentioned with wormholes, because they're bonused more to be built as an active fax rather than a buffer fax, which can be a good enough active fax like the other two hulls are. Uh, the Ninazu had been one of the had had a place in the wormhole meta where you can't really bring enough caps on the field for a buffer fax to be the kind of thing that you'd be using.
Mhm.
Right. So this definitely is, I don't think it's going to help their case much in the large scale fleet combat. I still think we're going to see the what is it?
The Marshal?
No. I have
Oh,
lost
you're
my
talking
train
about
of
Force
thought here.
Auxiliaries.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
looking at comments that said the Marshal was the boss for 10 out of 10s. That comment from
y-
Icon 911.
yeah. Marshall's really nice, but they're real expensive to run 10 out of 10s in.
Yeah.
But the other two faxes will remain king, the Apostle and
Yeah, but
I've got
even
like three of them. I can't think their name right now. But
Apostle, Apostle and Minakawa are the armor ones that are resist bonus, and Ninazu and Leaf have bonus to active tank.
yeah, well, yeah, the Minnow and the Apostle you'll still see in fleets, but the Lifin and Nanazu now is a lot more attractive in like wormhole space and small gangs where you're not going to find caps on field. There'll be subcaps, so you could possibly fit it to rep uh, through the damage of the smaller fleet, like subcap fleet.
Yeah, I just
So
don't I just don't know if this will be enough to make them viable compared to the other two. But yeah, let's just in case people are unaware, let's explain the difference between the two types of fax. So fax are usually fit as either a buffer fax or an active fax, and a buffer fax is one that's fit for usually for uh, cap fights, and all of its tank is armor plates or shield extenders for a huge buffer tank, so that the huge amounts of damage that caps do aren't just going to take them out, while an active fax is fit for active tank with shield repair, with local repair modules.
So one has a
right,
tank that allows it to survive longer without doing anything. That's passive. And one has an active tank where it can heal or repair itself quickly. It takes a lot of capacitor, and it has a smaller tank. So Those are the
Yeah.
two styles that you're talking about. Okay.
And the active fax is more likely to be used in subcap support
Now, why is that?
situations.
Because it doesn't have to worry about getting alpha off the field by capital ships or something?
Pretty much.
Okay. Is there another advantage, or is that just the reason? You don't need all that initial
Yeah, you
volley
don't
defense?
need all that initial stuff where
Okay.
Yeah, faxes are fairly tanky to begin with. So with the active rep and the bonus to capacitor now, they could rep for longer, and they could stay on field longer, and it's harder to kill with subcaps, especially in wormholes where you can't just sino in other capitals. It makes the lift and an Azu, I said, a lot more viable.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
so
a question here from chat. Orange5345 asks, what's a good blops for Blood Raider DED sites? Kind of obscure, but you guys have an answer?
the Redeemer would probably be a good fit for there because just the resist profile. You have to look at the damage that the Blood Raiders do, and just look at the Black Ops ship that has the best resistance for that. The Widow is probably the generic like go-to for running 10 out of 10 DED sites. So that's also a safe bet. But just for the resist profiles, I believe the Redeemer would be okay. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure how it performs in the 10 out of 10. You usually want something with cruise missiles. So like
the
the
Marshal.
Panther, the Marshal.
Yeah, the Panther is guns.
Oh, they have guns on the Panther. Okay, so yeah, I would the Widow or the Marshal. So
yeah. So Hateless agrees, Redeemer or Sin. Hateless is a fantastic mission runner and all-around NPC killer.
Yeah, the Sin is a
Sin's
drone
good too.
ship, so the Sin is a drone ship, so it can do pretty well against any rat type, depending on what drones you bring.
Right, you'd want your sentry drones, probably to run the 10 out of 10 with a micro jump drive and just jump away when you get too many ads on you,
All right,
and then
cool.
deploy your drones again.
All right, thanks, guys. And thank you for asking questions in chat. We will move on to our next topic here. And this is the pulse returns after being gone for like 3 months. Let me just stop that there, expand. They went ahead and covered just about everything that we cover, but much nicer production value since they get a chance to actually film it and edit it. But they have... they cover everything from quantum cores, which we covered a while ago, to the Triglavians, invasions ending. So they're really warning you to get out. We'll cover that a bit more in just a minute when we talk about the fall of Scarcon a little bit later in the program. But they also have this really nice presentation. Again, yeah, they're talking about Rolling Thunder. This is all stuff that if you've been listening to Talking in Stations, you know about already. They talk about the one-on-one combat for Navy faction frigates. And here's what I wanted to get to, show you a little bit of this. This is really quite nice. They do a demonstration of the skins that are up for sale, or actually these might be the ones that you'll be able to get as login rewards, which is a real nice way to present the skins with a fleet, especially this part right here where they show you the size difference between the frigate and the battleship. That's really cool. So check that out. We'll put that into chat here, and we'll have it in the show notes. This is Eve Pulse. This essentially is a wrap-up and review and preview of CCP's development, and it's hosted by CCP Mirage here, who's a creative marketing director. All right, so it's good to see Pulse back. It's fantastic. I believe it used to come out, was it once a week? Every Friday?
It was quite often. I'm not sure the exact release dates on those, but it was at least once or twice a month.
I think it was once a week on Friday, which was fantastic. They could produce that, but it's back. Hopefully, they had a lot to cover, and hopefully they'll get it back up and running after everybody's gone on vacation over there in Iceland. So welcome back, Eve Pulse. Next, we'll talk about Project Discovery. It gets an update. So nearly 40 million submissions from EVE players. About 160,000 EVE players have participated in this Project Discovery, which is about COVID, which is something that's very current. They have mapped out, like I said, 40 million different submissions of cells, because you outline cells when you do this. That's actually what the science project is. Let's get that there. And of those 40 million, 466,000 are actually being used in research now. So that work is paying off. That's equivalent to about 32 years of observational work, crowdsourced by EVE Online players in the science fiction world, actually doing real science. So congratulations to all the players that participated in that. It's not over, it's continuing. In fact, it's refining. CCP is going to make some adjustments to Project Discovery to make it more accurate on a certain type of cell that is a little harder. It's I think those are specifically called cells with long tails or smears, or smear-like patterns, and they want to be able to better differentiate the smears, the little particle smears. So it's worth reading this blog if you're interested. It's very scientific but understandable. And it does, and hopefully will, teach you how to better map out the cells to create better impressions. And hopefully it helps people in the scientific world understand the COVID virus and how it works and how it attaches and what it does. So good for you guys. That's an update for Project Discovery. Okay, it's time for some war news. It's day 78. And the first thing we'll look at here is battle report. Do you want to cover this, Manix? Test carrier, the Wyvern, was taken out.
Right, yeah. It looks like a test Wyvern was in catch near the 49 TAC gate, that regional gate there, to Aquarius. And from looking at the battle report, looks like it floated off an Invictus Fortizar and got tackled. And then the ensuing Dread Bomb came in. Looks like it was tackled by the Flycatcher and Saber. Bubbled it, and Jim Azeness dropped in a Oracle that died, but it wasn't on the kill report for the Wyvern, so might not have got there in time to get on the kill for the Wyvern. But looks like the test Wyvern went down.
On the Wyvern's kill mail.
It could be. Did I miss that? It's possible. It's possible I missed that. Go back and look here. Did he get on there? Okay, he didn't make it. So yeah, so Jay jumped in the Oracle to hold tackle in case the bubbles got removed from the grid there. Test dropped in some more dreads. Looks like most of the capitals from Goon Swarm, all the dreads did die. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So 6 plus the Oracle, but they downed one Fax, a Minakawa, and the Wyvern.
Actually, was that? Yeah, the efficiency still is in the favor of Goon Swarm and the Imperium with about 65% ISK efficiency, which means they took out about 20 billion. They took out about 37 billion, but they lost 20 billion in the process.
Right. Yeah, definitely a win for the Imperium forces here.
Okay. Next, we want to look at what's going on in Aquarius, where the majority of the fighting is happening. It looks like 16 iHubs have been reinforced that belong to the Anaconda Coalition. And
Thanks, Elise, for coming up with that name.
Yeah, thank you, Elise. And Dunk for basically putting his stamp of approval on it on Sunday's show. Check it out. Talking in Stations on Sunday, or the podcast, which will come out today. So it looks like the invading forces of the Anaconda Coalition continue to clear the Imperium of structures, fortify their gains while building up for an eventual delve push. That is the state of the war as it is today, day 78. Not a whole lot's going on. That's why we picked up that Wyvern kill, which was pretty good ambush by Goon Swarm. But we did note that there was a lot of iHubs in Reinforce, including 49 TAC U, which is located down here. Looks like that iHub, and I believe also the Territorial Claim Unit reinforced. You can see here they're both reinforced. And that is going to be interesting because that iHub has to survive 30 days in order for an Anaconda Coalition to put down a Sino jammer, which will then allow them to jam out any Imperium capitals from jumping into that system. And once that happens, then they can securely take out the keep star that resides in that system, which is something of a stated goal. May not happen soon, but if they lose that iHub, that 30-day clock will start over. So they want to keep that alive. And that's the news from the war fronts. Let's go to some RP news in the CCP's galactic news, they call it. And this is something that's pending. It's coming soon, but it is happening now. That we have the evacuations are being called for not only Scarcon, but all systems that have been invaded by Triglavians, especially the full liminality systems. And there was a video released by the leader of Triglavians. And in the video, there's mysterious messages, but a couple of things that I picked up on were, one, they said weaving final limb conduits. And that makes me think that the systems that are actually in full liminality will begin to connect to one another as opposed to what they used to connect to. Being interrupted here. So I find that to be pretty interesting. Have you guys read anything on that?
I have not.
I haven't really followed that much. I know a little bit about the roleplay events that are going on, but I'm not sure. I know, and I think the speculation that the systems will connect to each other might be on to something, but I don't know the details. I'm not I'm not connected enough to the Triglavian stuff to know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Well, we'll cover that on Sunday when we have an expert on that does a lot of this roleplay stuff. That is Baleful Dysnomia. Okay, so moving on. I thought this was an interesting piece of news here. This was found on Reddit where a lot of announcements are made, and this is the hauling company PushX is changing their service prices, I believe, and the way they do business. So there's a lot of different links here for delivery times and how you get on them. I think the takeaway, though, is that there will be more collateral and less fees, which I think is interesting. Now, these changes are probably coming because the trade routes that are typical have changed due to invasions by NPC characters, the Triglavians. So they have to adapt their business model in order to meet the new challenges. Also, bracket pricing for freighters. And it looks like it'll be done by per warp, and rush job adjustments. And so check that out. That's really cool. Service gameplay by a group of players that will move stuff for you, so you don't have to chance it. You don't have to risk it.
Yeah, I'd heard that Red Frog and Nyarja were planning on something to do with Red Frog and PushX. I mean, were trying to figure out what they were going to do to adapt to the Nyarja stuff.
Right. So there they are, some adjustments, and that's kind of important because if you look here, this is a takedown of a jump freighter. Somebody, actually another service group that wants to move stuff for you here called Chi Transport Company. One of their jump freighters is actually taken out by Snuff. I believe it was Snuff. I'll check in a second.
Yeah, that was Adversity, and they're currently in Snuffed Out. They've been in and out of Snuffed Out over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, with most of Pandemic Horde deployed to, well, first Iridia and now Aquarius. Adversity has been camping R10 and the nearby systems.
Mm-hmm.
This was in GQ TAC, which is right next door to Rio,
Right.
and it's a major industry system for Horde.
Yeah.
So this person was carrying a lot of moon minerals.
Right. It's full of moon minerals. And it was taken out by Tech 3 cruisers, not dreadnoughts. So that was kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
they've been camping mainly in Lokis,
Mm-hmm.
cloaky Lokis, and things like that.
Right. So again, that was the Chi Transport Company. It's freighter carrying moon materials from the Kalevala Expanse, destroyed by Snuff, specifically Adversity. I wonder if Adversity is charging Goon Swarm. I would say, hey, we're going to be doing these ops in your enemy's territory, taking out their supply lines. If you want to pay us, that would be awesome. But we'll see. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was an under the table arrangement, but they were doing this to the initiative a few months ago, so I can't imagine them being on good terms with the Imperium.
Oh, probably not. I don't know who they're in good terms with. Okay, last piece of news here before we get to the mineral index. Stunt Flores was pardoned by CCP. He is allowed to play EVE Online again after an initial rejection. Years ago, he was banished for impersonating CCP Fozzie on EVE Tweet Fleet Slack. I remember that. I was a moderator for EVE Tweet Fleet. And he claimed he was just being satirical and quoting, but that was something that was explicitly a no-no. You can't act as a CCP dev answering questions on their behalf and making them look ridiculous. But it wasn't his first offense. He was known as an edgelord before that. I'm quoting edgelord there. And had a number of run-ins with CCP and EVE Online. So that was kind of the last straw and the technical third strike. So he was eliminated from the game. But since CCP has recently decided to revisit their policy for permabanning players, this marks the first pardoning of a player that was permabanned. So he can now play EVE Online again.
Yet it marks the first known example, the
You're right.
known of a high-profile person.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the mineral index because I wanted to point out that tritanium seems to be climbing steadily since July. This is probably due to a lot of the changes that CCP has put into the game in order to encourage scarcity of minerals, which means that minerals will slowly climb, and tritanium is showing you that pattern there. But an even better example is the bottleneck for capital ships, Noxium. Noxium is another mineral in that family, and it is clearly increasing in price. It's doubled in just a few months from about 400 ISK per unit to 730. So look at those minerals. Keep an eye on it. Those are going to be real indicators if CCP strategy is working, if things are becoming more valuable, and those are the baseline materials for production in most of the ships that you see, if not all, and most of the modules that you see, if not all. All right, there you go. Is there anything else that you guys want to cover today?
Not that I can think of. I think we've pretty much went over everything. A little correction here.
Yeah.
Looks like the Wyvern was jumping to the Fortizar and was tackled during that 30-second vulnerability timer
Right.
before they got tethered. So looks like the Imperium had their dictors on a ping cloaked and was able to warp in and bubble. And Sano was lit, and probably the J came in, possibly, I'm assuming, with his Rocal to get a hard tackle on the Wyvern. And Billy jumped in, tried to save it with his Faxalt, and unsuccessful. And that should be everything, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the record's probably pretty correct now.
Yeah, this Wyvern shows why it's dangerous to move supers on your own. Like, there are a few people who I trust to be able to move supers on their own, but this is why most people should try to move in an organized move up if they have supers to move.
Right. Now, keep in mind these ships, the Titan that we saw the other day and this Wyvern, which is a super capital Caldari ship, are being killed when they get to this system before Aquarius. So they're being killed in catch. And this is the second one that's been killed the same way because the Imperium is totally camping for TAC 07. So moving there without really clear instructions and really clear plan is incredibly careless right now. You should be listening to leadership to avoid a situation where you end up losing an asset for your team. But we expect to see Goonswarm doing a good job capitalizing on stragglers, we'll call them, again. So that's paying off for them. They're losing a few dreads here and there, but that's really paying off for them. Okay.
Yeah, the dreads that they lose are not enough to balance out what they've been killing.
Yeah. Well, if you look there on the map, you see Stain. Pretty much anybody that's enemies with test has a dread cache there of some sort. Panfam, Snuff, Imperium, Farah. There's a bunch of little groups with dread cache and Stain just because it's got good jump range to Esoteria, and it seems like it's got reach into catch there as well. So that's probably where they came from.
Oh, I see. Well, I believe they're camping in that system. I'm not sure, but I think they're actually
that's
in
a
that
possibility.
System. Yeah,
yeah, it's a possibility. But if they jumped in, they're probably jumping in from Stain. If the
yeah,
correct.
They've traditionally been friendly with the inhabitants of Stain, and they have a few dread caches in Stain for this sort of power projection.
Yeah,
and they'd be really foolish not to have eyes constantly on that side of the regional gate. So I'd be surprised if they weren't camping this just to see if any stragglers were moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Good play all around by the Imperium, picking off a second super capital. All right, we'll bring you more information, war news tomorrow around this same time. For now, I want to say thanks from Talking in Stations, and we will see you next time.